What is up, my planting people? My name is Lithius and welcome to Roots Ready. It's April 2022 and I'm here to give you my top 5 favorite plants for that month. I really love this theme because it's almost like a plant diary. I get to show you some of the plants that are doing really well in that month. I get to celebrate them with you, but also it's a place where I can come back to and just sort of look at the progress that my plant has made. As plant parents, we know that plants are very slow. You know, sometimes it takes a little bit of time before we can see and celebrate in their beauty because, you know, they just, you know, they move on a different timeline to us. You know, I would love to see things happen really quickly, but they don't. And in these videos, what I like to do is just sort of look back and see where my plants have come from and where they are today. So it's really great. But anyway, we're going to get straight into it. I think this video is going to be very Anthurium heavy. But I've got one plant in there that I think is going to be new to you guys. Because it was certainly new to me, but I really do like it and can't wait to see it grow. But without any further ado, the first plant I would like to introduce you guys to is this one right here. This is my Anthurium Furcatum. Right, so it doesn't look like much, but the reason I chose this plant to be the first in my favorites is because it's put out a brand new leaf. Look at that, gorgeous. It's still in the same substrate that the plant came in. I haven't done anything with it. In fact, it's still in sort of a quarantine state. I just have this little plastic pot that fits perfectly over this pot. And, you know, it makes an airtight, almost airtight seal, helps to keep in that humidity. So I haven't really done much with it. I was waiting for this leaf to come out and to harden. And then I'm going to repot this guy into a slightly bigger pot and into pond. Because I just find that my Anthuriums really do like pond for whatever reason. I think it's the regular access to water because I keep the pond in a semi-hydro system. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically a little bit of water left in the pot, which just sort of touches the pond, and then the pond, just because of its natural properties, it will wick that water up so that the roots get it. And it's a really airy mix as well. And I find that Anthuriums really do like this. Now, what's special about this plant is the fact that when it begins to mature, it develops these absolutely huge lobes. And it's just amazing. Now, back in January, I did a wish list video. And in that video, I talked about wanting a plant, an Anthurium, that had really prominent lobes. And the Furcatum was one of those plants that I really wanted to get into my collection. And I did. And I got it as a little baby, and I'm just so glad to see that it's growing and it's sizing up quite a bit. I think once I get into like the proper substrate, I think the plant is going to be much happier and ready to sort of start to put out those newer, larger leaves. But for now, I'm just sort of feeling the moss is a little bit, it's on a bit of a dry side, but I'll be making another video very soon, just to show you guys how I repot this plant. But until then, that's it. This is the Anthurium Furcatum, still a little baby, just a little juvenile, but nonetheless, an exciting one for me anyway. Just look at that, guys, the Anthurium Furcatum. Now, the next plant I was hoping to get in my previous favorites video for March. However, the leaf just took a little bit of time to grow. And it's now hardened off and I'm now ready. I was excited to reveal that the second favorite plant is this one right here, my Anthurium Veitchii, also known as the King Anthurium. Oh, look at it. It's finally started to size up. Let me just show you. It's literally the size of my hand now. So I'm really happy. So when I got this plant, it only had these sort of tiny leaves on them. Just this one here. This one, it had this one on it, so you can tell that it was propagated from a slightly larger plant, and then the subsequent leaves, you know, took a little bit of time to adjust. This was one of the ones that it arrived with, and I was hoping that when this leaf came out in my care, I was like, okay, cool, we're getting some size. So hopefully the next one will be a little bit bigger, and then we had this one, which was around the same size. I was a little bit upset. I thought I was going to lose this one because it arrived with a little bit of, I'm not sure what this is. It's either a bit of sun bleaching or something, but it hasn't progressed. It hasn't gotten any worse or any better. So I've just sort of left it on there because obviously it's helping the plant. And I was hoping that the next one, this one, was going to be as large or larger than this one, and it didn't happen. And then we had this one which came in, and I was still a little bit not disappointed, but I was kind of hoping that it would really start to size up. But then when this one came out, then we were in the game. We were now in the big leagues with this Anthurium Veitchii. Guys, look, you can finally see the ribbon on the leaves. Can you see that? Just look at those abs just going up and down this leaf. This leaf is a little bit lopsided for whatever reason. I'm not too sure why, but still, it looks really, really gorgeous. Just so amazing. Now, this plant is also in pond, and I'll show you guys what's going on with the root situation. It's a little bit dry at the moment, but you can kind of maybe see some roots. Oh, here's a nice big juicy one over here. Oh, that looks scrumptious. Looked absolutely scrumptious. And I think that was it. So what I tried to do with this plant is it started to put out some aerial roots that were kind of growing above the pond. And I was always trying to be on point with this one and get it covered back up in the pond so that those roots can go back down into the substrate. And I think that really helped to size up this plant. So if you do have an Anthurium Veitchii, that is, and you want it to size up, I would suggest, yeah, just be on top of sort of the roots. If you can't sort of get it into the substrate, what you can do is just sort of get it covered up in a little bit of moss. Make sure that moss stays sort of moist, just to help promote those roots, and then that hopefully should get you those larger leaves. So I can't wait until the next one comes. I'm hoping that we at least get a couple more, maybe one or two more. No, let's say 2 or 3. Let's be a bit ambitious. 2 or 3 extra leaves for this spring and summer. I think I'll be so happy going into winter with a proper sort of sized up Veitchii. That's my goal. That's my vision. Because I've got the Queen Anthurium as well. And you know, that one is starting to really sort of it's about maybe 30 centimeters in length now. And this one, if it's the King Anthurium, the king to the queen, it needs to also sort of step up its game. You know what I'm saying? Like, it needs to step up its game. But that's it, guys. This is the King Anthurium, or the Anthurium Veitchii, and the second favorite plant for the month of April. The final Anthurium in this list of favorite plants is a crowd favorite. It's certainly my favorite, I would say. It's an eye catcher. The final Anthurium is the Anthurium Magnificum crossed with Regale. And it's quite large. So bear with me 1 second. I'm going to try to pick it up because it's so heavy. There we go. There we go. This is it, guys. Previously, I think everyone, if you haven't seen before, I've done like a journey on this leaf. This leaf is absolutely massive. It's absolutely huge. I think I measured it at about 40, just over 40 centimeters before. This is another leaf. It's slightly smaller because I had propagated this plant after this leaf came out, and I've got the trunk looking amazing. It's got another leaf on there now. So the subsequent leaf, because the trunk was much smaller, came out a little bit smaller. So that was it. That's what I was working with the last time you guys saw this plant. And then since then, guys, boom, we finally have another leaf on this plant. Now, I've been waiting for this leaf to harden off, and it finally has, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous. Just take a look, guys, at those veins. Oh, that dark green. It's amazing. One of the things I wanted to make sure with this leaf is that I keep on top of the watering, just that I make sure that I don't have any of these little imperfections, just like here. You see that there's a little hole there. I mean, that doesn't take away from the beauty of the plant, but guys, I was so proud that I got this one to come out almost intact. It looks incredible, absolutely incredible. And for the keen among you, you might have seen that we are working with an inflorescence over here the first inflorescence that this plant put out, I tried to pollinate, and for whatever reason, the plant decided to reject reject that inflorescence. So that didn't last very long. This one, I'm working on a little something with that. So hopefully we will get some lovely hybrids, a hybrid of a hybrid. That's what I'm working with. I'm hoping to cross-pollinate this with my Anthurium Furcatum, and you know, we can have some really interesting leaves as well. So yeah, I'm just working on that at the moment, and I'll let you guys know later in the year if I was successful or not. I've seen that the inflorescence itself is starting to go a little bit green. For me, I feel like that's a little sign that something might have worked, but we'll see. We'll see. I've also repotted this plant. It's going to hit the ceiling, and I put it in this much larger pot, and I can't even go any higher, guys, but there you go. So I've got a little bowl over here that I bought from Asda in the UK. It's almost like a Walmart in the US. It was actually owned by Walmart. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, so I bought this little bowl. I've just got it sitting on top of my my dresser in my room, and up against a east-facing window, just pulled back slightly, and it seems to be loving life. And I've also taped up the petioles over here with some gardening tape. And the reason for that is this plant is a sprawler. It likes to sort of really spread its leaves, so that doesn't really work for me. That would take up way too much space. So I just try to contain it like I have here. But yeah, it's been doing really, really well. I was a little bit nervous that if I repotted this plant that it would again reject this inflorescence, but it didn't. It's still going strong. I've sort of I had the opportunity to take 2 sets of pollen from this this inflorescence. I'm really, really happy about that. But guys, before my arms fall off, it's so heavy. Oh, this is it. This is the Anthurium Magnificum cross with the Regale. Just an absolute stunner. Oof. Damn. Okay. My wrist. That was a lot. Okay, so anyway, so now we're moving on to the only Hoya in this list, and that is my Hoya Krinkle 8. Now this is, it's not a rare plant at all, and that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't take away from this plant. It does mean that it's quite accessible. I just love the growing pattern on this plant, the way it sort of just carpets as it trails. I've got it up against a window, and from the outside looking in, it looks absolutely stunning. I've got it, as you can see, in a hanging pot. I'm thinking of relocating it because I've got it in my room right now, and no one gets to enjoy the beauty of it apart from me. So I'm going to try to just, get it somewhere else, maybe my bathroom. We'll see. But the reason why this plant is on my favorites list is because look at this. We've got 3 peduncles forming this year. I am super excited about that. That is always a good sign. It shows that the plant is happy. I will say that I had to repot this plant. So not repot, but I had to get rid of all the soil and almost sort of get it down to the bare root. That was really scary. Like literally I had to cut away a lot of roots. And the reason for that is it came down with mealybugs. I think this was the plant that brought it into my house, because I noticed on my Hoya obovata first, that plant is in LECA and it's in a glass pot or like a little cup thing. And I noticed mealybugs in that, and quickly I was like, okay, I know Hoyas really do attract root mealybugs. So I took, quick action, and I got rid of all of the LECA. I boiled it for a few minutes, make sure that all of the mealybugs were dead. But I also know that, Hoyas really do attract root mealybugs. So I then looked at all of my other Hoyas just to make sure that they weren't infected. Now, I have a Hoya Foawensis, which also had it, but it wasn't too bad. So it was interesting, actually, because that one was in my mini greenhouse, and it wasn't close to any other Hoyas. So the fact that it got you know, the root mealies got in there. Who knows? Anyway, but I got that plant as a cutting. Most of the plants I got, apart from this one, I got them as cuttings, and I had to root them myself. So the only one that I didn't get as a cutting was this one, which came in soil when I hadn't changed out the soil or anything. So I think this was the reason why it spread. But anyway, I was there was a period in my life where I just really wanted to get rid of all sort of springtails, and I know springtails are beneficial, but for me, I just didn't want them. So I bought these beneficial insects or bugs, which you put in the soil. They're really good at keeping springtails and soil-borne pests at bay. It's a really good control. So whereas my other Hoyas, which were in pond or in LECA, they had it really, really bad because I hadn't put those beneficial insects in that substrate. This one, when I took it out, I think I found maybe about just a handful of mealybugs. But nonetheless, I threw away the soil. I gave it a really, really good clean. I really disinfected it. I used hydrogen peroxide, and I used a bit of soap as well, guys. Just literally washing up detergent type thing. Don't do that because like my other plants really did feel it. Like they started to develop these little black spots on the leaf. So don't do that. Try to find other ways. So definitely hydrogen peroxide was a good tool for me to get rid of them. But yeah, try not to use that because it's really harsh. And the plant won't like it. I find that Hoyas are actually quite they're quite sensitive to a lot of harsh chemicals, so just be careful. Just a word of warning. But anyway, we got this plant potted up into a Coca-Cola and pon and a bit of LECA mix, and it took off really, really well. Like for a while, it took a while for it to re-root because the leaves were really soft, and this plant, the leaves are quite firm, quite cardboard like, and I was a bit worried. But then it started to start to firm back up, and I was like really happy. So that's why this plant is on the wish list as well as the peduncles. Now, one thing I'll say about these peduncles, as excited as I am to see them come, I am also excited to see them go, because the smell, I can't deal with the smell. Honestly, it's my flatmates and stuff, they don't mind it too much, but for me it's terrible. Like I have to take it out of my room because especially at night, that's when it really starts to kick up. But I've got to take it out of my room and bring it into this room, to the living room, because I just can't deal with the smell. To me, it smells a bit like cow dung, like if you go on a farm, or a bit like black licorice, or a combination of those. And guys, I can't deal with it. So as excited as I am to see it, like I'm not gonna be keeping it in my room, but still, it's still exciting. I'm still happy to see it. But anyway, that was it, guys. The Hoya Krinkle 8. The final plant on this favorites list is a new plant to me. I've had it for maybe about a month. I've had it just sort of quarantining away from my other plants, but it's a plant I've had my eye on for a little while. Someone that I follow on Instagram had one. I was like, oh, this is so interesting. It's so different. And I just really wanted one. And I whenever I remembered, I would sort of search for it. And eventually I decided, I'm gonna hit the button and I'm gonna get this plant. This plant is the Sophora Prostrata. And guys, I know it doesn't look like too much at the moment, but I really, really love this plant. The simplicity of it, those small leaves. One of the things I really love about this plant is its growth pattern. The stem, as you can kind of see here, it sort of zigzags up the plant, and it will with this one. This one's still very juvenile, just a new shoot, but all of them are sort of zigzag, and it turns into this sort of geometric, beautiful plant. I'm going to insert a couple of mature specimens in this video, but I just really, really like this plant. So this plant, I know is known by a couple of other names. It's known by Little Baby and the Dwarf Cowhide as well. So, and this plant I think is native to, I believe, I don't want to get this wrong. I believe this plant is native to New Zealand, but I'll double check anyway. But it's absolutely gorgeous, guys. It makes for a really great bonsai. as well. And I'm really getting into bonsai. I'm really fascinated. I've been finding myself watching a lot of bonsai videos. And I think this one is it has a natural bonsai feel and shape to it. This plant sort of gets to about 3 meters in height if you grow it indoors. It's hardy, you know, it likes it's sort of the sun, so you want to get it in bright indirect light. It can even maybe take direct light, and you don't want this to sort of drop into sort of that freezing sort of zone, so you want to keep it at around 20 degrees Celsius. And yeah, I just find it's really fascinating. It's a really interesting plant, really different. Gives me almost like a minimalistic vibe, and I just really like it. It's one of my favorite now for this month. I just can't stop looking at it, just how different it is from anything else and everything else that I have at the moment. And yeah, that was the wild card for this video for this month. Something a little bit different. I haven't seen much of it on YouTube, but I will be doing a sort of a care guide once I understand the care of this plant for you guys very, very soon. It's a plant that I would highly recommend. It's very different, and you can get some larger specimens as well. And if you do, you will start to understand why this plant is on this list this month. But that was it, guys. This is the Sophora Prostrata, also known as the dwarf cowhide or little baby. We've reached the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do let me know in the comments below which of these plants are your favorites, or let me know what your favorite is for the month of April. I'm really interested to find out and compare notes. Before I go, I really want to do some shout outs. April has also been a great month for collaborations. I just love seeing how the plant community comes together. So I want to give a shout out to Crystal. We did a little bit of a video, so she got like the first look at this Anthurium Magnificum Regale, because she asked me to show a little bit of her favorites for that month. So give a shout out to her. Thank you for inviting me along. I just want to just big you up. And finally, Dave from Aroy District as well. We recently did a comparison looking at how my Queen Anthurium compares to his Anthurium Serioi. I don't know. When he told me about it, it was the first time I've heard about it. And it's a really interesting plant. But that's an interesting one. So go check them out. I'm going to link their channels in the description below. It's a great community, guys. I just love being part of it, especially with the direction that this sort of the world is going in at the moment. I just love to see unity and people come together. I just wanted to big them up as well. So anyway, that was it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Definitely go check out Crystal and Dave's channel. And that was it from me. And as always, keep planting.